Morena koutou and welcome to today's information session. And this session is recorded. I'm sorry, we are calling them workshops now. But while it's open to the public, it's for staff to provide for decision making. It's a forum for the public to provide decisions or to bring other matters to the attention of the council. If you do want to do that, member of the public, please talk to staff and they can help people say. So we'll kick away with the transport operations report. And welcome Stephen and Jacob. Far away, 10:45 to 11:15, half an hour.
Good morning. Normally Lynette and the maintenance manager today here and Fled's away. Lynette's busy with something else, so we're standing in. So apologies if we don't quite get what you normally get, but we'll do our best. So some of the things in here are, essentially winter is here. There's been a big focus on leaf fall, particularly the sort of nearly 1,000 streets that have a high number of deciduous trees and keeping on top of that, with a particular focus on the sump maintenance and cleaning. The other bit has been about the emergency response. So parts of Banks Peninsula got 300 millimetres of rain over a few days back in May. And our understanding is that no properties were flooded above floor level, which is pretty incredible for such an emergency, really. And while we'd love to take complete credit for that, I think we've got to share the credit with Three Waters. So the building of the wetlands and the proactive work that both our maintenance teams and their maintenance teams did to clear things and be ready for it, I think really paid off. So I think a great job's been done there. I think we've really pulled that one out of the bag.
Thanks for calling that out, Jacob. That's important.
In the report, there's a map of where there were slips, dropouts, and surface flooding across the peninsula. That's quite it's a lot of dots, I think, is probably the long and short of it. So we're looking at a lot of those and what needs to be done. The big one was Lighthouse Road, which had cracking and we had to evacuate some properties. The monitoring has been going on ever since, near real time, not exactly real time, but near real time. My understanding is that it's now stopped moving and we're moving into what we do long term. So watch this space, options are being developed, but we're looking at a long term solution there. Related to that is that a lot more money is coming to structures, both through the LTP and from targeted government funding, things like the Crown Resilience Programme. So we're really trying to get on top of that and try to get ahead of those structures that are end of life or in poor condition and get those done so that we have fewer slips, fewer dropouts. There's a section in there about the Orion. We're doing quite a lot of work on trying to work with our Three Waters team and combine the jobs so that there's less disruption and hopefully we can all gain efficiencies, do jobs cheaper and better. But for those of us who live on the south side of the city, you'll know that's been quite disruptive. They're digging along Milton Street. So it's good that we've managed to get a few things in there with them. So we put in the ducting at Simeon, and there's various bits of minor works around the Selwyn Street intersection there as well, which allowed us to upgrade the traffic signals. And we're also about to install the pedestrian crossing at Simeon Street, which was part of that Simeon Street project, but obviously they're coming through Milton Street. They're all set up. They were our contractor for that as well, so we'll go in and do that pedestrian crossing and then look to tie the rest of it in when Three Waters come along Simeon Street. The new footpaths programme is out with the community boards for comment. We're hoping to be back before the elections for a decision on which ones we go with. So I would encourage you to put all feedback in, and we'll try and put all that together before it comes back to council. And then the last bit I'll talk to is business cases. We're working well with NZTA. I think the relationship has improved there. Pages Road, we're expecting a decision any day on that. We're also starting business cases for routes 1 and 5 to try and match in with ECAN's frequency uplift on those routes. And we're looking to start a business case for Evans as well. And then longer term, we were asked through the annual plan to start work on business cases for the 3 remaining MCRs. So that probably won't get to a conclusion in this LTP term because of the GPS and other work that's going on. But we will start that work and try and have it all lined up for the next LTP period.
Perfect. So in terms of a bit of an overview of our maintenance achievements, but there's a slide there on page 8 that if anybody else can control that for us. Sorry, can you get it to go to slide
To page
8, please?
Should wait now.
Oh, perfect. Slide, there we go. No, sorry.
Just have to wait for it to
Hamster's tired.
This one.
Yeah, but effectively, it just shows how much work has been undertaken by the maintenance team over the last year. Like 60,000 jobs that they've completed, nearly 3,000 dispatches. There's a heck of a lot of work been undertaken in that space. And on the following slide, it just shows you some of the distances and quantities of that work. There's been over 9 kilometres of asphalt laid, 118 kilometres of chip seal, 4 kilometres of rehabilitation, and nearly 6 kilometres of microsurfacing. So we have done a lot of work, been super busy, but I think the key message here is we can always do more if we have more money in that space. So the more money we get in maintenance, the more maintenance works we can do. We are quite constrained by the seasons, and there is a graph there that shows you the how we spend our money in maintenance, and you can clearly see that through the colder months we don't perform that much in terms of resealing roads. Most of our off-season works are limited to drainage issues, leaf fall, and emergency response. But most of the resurfacing work's done between October and March, really. Rapid response footpath crew. Since the introduction of it, there's been nearly 4,000 jobs. So again, they've been busy, and has been lots of positive feedback about that as well. So that's going well and continuing to go well. What else have we got here? There's a few things here that we are trying to do differently in the maintenance space. We're trying to better prioritise how we do rehab sites, so we can justify why we're doing them a bit better. And as part of that, we are coming up with a new tool to make that a bit easier. This is on here. So the 25-26 reseal sites are all inspected and scoped, so we're ready to go for the coming year. So that's good. Yeah, so it's been a busy year for maintenance, and I think we're hoping it's going to be a busier year moving forward, because we want to be spending more money in that space. I'll just move on quickly. It's not working again.
No, 1 moment. We're just trying to find the cursor.
That's all good.
Okay.
There we go. So into the operations, a bit of some survey results there in terms of how people are getting around the city. Excuse me. Most of them have increased. So the big increase there is for PT trips. There's a lot more people getting on the buses, and that's been steadily increasing over the last few years. It's big increase. Lots more people walking, and quite a few more people cycling as well. Micro mobility is getting busier as well. I think we are due to give you an update on our micro mobility licenses quite soon with Lime and Ario. We'll give a bit of an update of that coming soon. But yeah, the city's getting busier. I think that's what you can see by those numbers. Parking point of view, you can see how many, I'm not going to read all those numbers out, but you can see how many tickets have been issued. I mean, the big one there, 68,000 infringement notices. Effectively, what they're doing is enforcing the stuff that you approve as elected members, whether it's bus lanes, cycle lanes, no parking, or timed parking. So they're, like I said, they're enforcing what you approve, and trying to change behaviour in doing so. Street lighting, we've got nearly 50,000 street lights, so all of them need cleaning. tidying up and inspecting to make sure that they're still working in tip-top condition. Bus stops and shelters, 4,800 shelter cleans, and 8,000 street cleans. So there's a lot of work takes place to keep these things in good condition, and that's reflected in our results. We this year we scored higher than we did in the previous year in terms of bus shelter cleanliness and usability. Let's go back on. There's another, this can quite often be a controversial topic, street trees. But just outside of the big capital projects, this is the work that's undertaken by the maintenance contract around trees. It's not necessarily big capital projects. So as part of maintaining our road trees, we've pruned 2,600 trees. 1,800 of them have been due to power line conflicts, and then nearly 3,000 have been service requests, i.e. requests from members of the public due to various reasons, and we've gone out to address those concerns. This is quite a big number. It's probably bigger than most people would think. We've actually removed 500 trees from the road network over the last year. We're currently working on our planting programme to get those replaced, because our tree policy states that every tree we remove, we need to replace it with a minimum of 2. So we are going to achieve that. We're just working through the planning of that at the moment. The difficulty with tree planting is there's a very short window for planting them. So the guys will work through most of the year and get the plan ready for next season's replanting. Quite a few of those tree removals were due to conflicts with the power network. That was an ongoing piece of work that started probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I think we're 99% complete in that project now. So Ryan are quite happy, and we've got very few conflicts with power lines at the moment. But that is going to be an ongoing programme. Now we've done the bulk of the work, it's more just going to be going in and trying to maintain those clearances. Lots of those removals will be due to tree health as well, because it's not just power line conflicts. A lot of them, a lot of our trees are old, and as they become old, they become unstable and they can become dangerous. In terms of people requesting access into our road corridor, 4,200 requests. Each one of those requests needs our officers to work through in detail to make sure there's no conflicts, and to go back and make sure that they reinstate properly. And you probably will see examples of where that isn't done particularly well around the city. And that sort of gives you an idea of why it is such a big challenge, because 4,000 of them a year, going around and checking on them to make sure they are reinstated correctly is a challenge. Again, there's a lot of work in that space. As you'll all be aware, there's been quite a few road safety improvements over the last period. One of the big ones recently was the new signals at Church Corner. What we will do, once it's been installed for a year, we will come back and do a review and then report back on how it's performing from a speed point of view, safety point of view, and an accessibility point of view. We did a similar thing with the roundabout at the bottom of Dyer's Pass, and the results from that were quite promising. Fortunately, the mayor's not here, because there was a nice piece of feedback there addressed to the mayor on that one. So Jacob's already talked about this, but just to reiterate, this was a really good opportunity to work with other stakeholders. Orion already had works being undertaken by a specific contractor. That contractor does work with us regularly, and we jumped on that and said, hey, Orion and contractor, do you mind if we jump on this and work in partnership with you to get our job done as well? Because we had concerns from the community about a set of signals, and they all said yes. So that's a really good example of how we can work together with other stakeholders for a better outcome for the community. Next bit here is the future transport plan. It's probably one for you, Jacob. I thought you got away with it.
I mean, we're working through the implementation. So the strategy's been agreed by council, so we're working through how that will be implemented, and that will be built into the next LTP. So that's pretty much all I can say about that at this moment.
Just to give you an update on some of the community focused work that we have been doing as well in terms of road safety. We've had 184 schools participate in the Walk the Wheels to School programme. We've had 9,000 students participate in the travel workshops. So that's a huge outreach, really. We're sort of spreading ourselves quite wide and touching on quite a few people in that space. Cycle Safe is always popular. 89 schools joined so far, and over 3,500 school children taught how to ride the bikes safely on the road network. And that's a really big win for council. This is a space where in operations we quite often get, you know, people lots of grumbles and negative feedback, but this is one area where we never get anything negative. This is always good news stories in this space. Just move on from that. Had a few campaigns on how to ride safely and encouraging people to get out on their bikes and actually use them safely and to use the facilities that we've built. And again, you can see the figures on there in terms of the number of people who have been visiting those pages. Again, it's on the increase and it's growing. A couple more slides about our Good to Go school travel programme. Again, this is a growing area where we're having a bigger impact than we ever have done in the past. And again, it's always received positively and the schools always want more of this type of work. Probably hearing from our residents.
The feedback that I've had from our engagement team is that we've done more engagement and we've reached more people than we ever had before. And that seems to be a consistent message that we reach out and hear from the community more and more and more year on year. Yeah,
It's good.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah, and that allows us to feed into the projects that we do and try and build that community feedback into the things that we bring to you.
Yep, great. Look, we've got till 15:15, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 questions. Probably won't get through all of them, but we'll have a go. So if you can please make your questions really succinct and we'll see how we go. So Kelly, fire away.
Yeah, just on the footpath repair, bit of feedback. I snapsend sold one for a guy late afternoon. It was actually done before lunchtime the next day. Incredibly impressive. He was absolutely stoked. So yeah, it sounds like you guys are really walking the talk there. Just in terms of Wainoni Road, there's a service cap for some kind of services underneath them. I know they're not council services. How do I find out who owns those services? Because every time a car drives over it, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds a day, it goes click, 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 and it drives one of the residents absolutely nuts. Keeps them awake at night, he reckons. You know.
So there's probably something you should probably take offline.
Yeah, okay. And then can I just ask the sealing trials that you've been doing to extend the life of surfaces, how's that been going?
I think through the chair, that's probably something that'd be better for Jed to come back to you on.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Pacific.
Thank you very much. Street trees, just picking up, did I hear you say that we're currently at about 99% through that program, that Orion was happy with where we're at?
Chair, that's correct. We're nearly there. That's not to say there won't be other issues moving forward because trees continue to grow. But from the initial programme, almost complete.
That's good to hear. So, and we're aware that in a number of streets, the trees actually can't be replanted. So in terms of our 2-for-1 policy that we've got, where's the visibility of that reporting so we can see where that's happening? Because the numbers don't quite marry up at the moment to reflect that that's what's happening.
Yeah. So through the chair, for specific projects, they will be brought through to the boards. And I think for your area, councillor, a paper will be coming to the board relatively soon, in probably in the form of a memo at this stage. And I need to confirm that. But there will be some communication to your board soon.
On a project by project basis, as opposed to a policy wide.
But we are working on a transport wide approach to try and better indicate those numbers.
Okay,
so we have identified that as an issue and we are trying to address it.
Okay, so then it brings me on to the next question around the numbers. I mean, it's really good to see this work. but the numbers don't always reflect our achievement. And I know that we have service level reporting in F&P. It would just be really good to be tying some of this together when we're looking at this, because otherwise we're not really seeing the full picture in terms of, I mean, it looks good, but there's no correlation there to our service levels and our KPIs. I just wonder whether at a high level it could be quite good to see that in this document. Another couple of questions in relation to footpaths and potholes. Good to see that data, but it doesn't really reflect what we hear from the residents in terms of they're telling us that the repairs are frequently failing and are awfully within a relatively short period of time. Are we monitoring and collecting that data? Do we know whether it's materials or workmanship, or why is that, and where is that being captured?
Yeah, through the chair, that's probably one better for Jed to come back to you on. In terms
Okay,
of
thank you.
Sorry, can I just add to that quickly? Certainly there are some areas where because of the sealing season, we can't do a full repair.
Sure.
So we end up
where are
doing patch repairs that are only designed to have a very short life.
Yeah.
And then we come through and do the bigger job. So you will see those fail because all they're designed to do is keep the road in one piece until we come through and do the bigger job.
Thank you. Just two more. One is about street lighting. Recently had a resident that was involved in an accident at an intersection, an elderly gentleman that was hospitalised. He said there was really poor lighting. So I'm interested in understanding whether we have different lighting levels at intersections, and is there a lighting standards, and where are we with that measure?
Through the chair, there are lighting standards, and those standards require different levels of lighting for different situations.
Yeah.
So if that issue was sent in to us, we could have somebody look at it to undertake a lighting assessment to see if that location is appropriate or not.
Okay, so that's good to know. He probably wouldn't have thought of doing that. The final question then is in relation to quite a chunky issue, and that's in relation to the antisocial driver behaviour and the burnout. I know we don't touch on that in this report, but it's an issue that's repeatedly coming up, and we have the standard line is it's a police matter, it's about enforcement. What I'm particularly interested in is what is the program of work that we're doing in that space? And is it simply we consider the road design as we are progressing through our street renewals, but are we doing any other piece of work to try and capture, identify where the hotspots are? Because you don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand why it's happening in certain places. And are there any low cost, high impact measures that we could start trialling? I'd really like to see a piece. Pardon? Yeah, well, chicanes. I don't know, because there's some areas.
That's a really big question. So can we get an answer?
Yes,
through a member?
please.
Yeah.
Thanks,
And thanks for asking all the questions I wanted to ask. But
that's great.
So can we have a memo or something come back to us?
Yeah,
because we're
just ask you
repeatedly
that.
getting it.
So we're going to have to keep our.
Do that, and it is. We are aware of the
No,
issue,
Aaron.
and yeah, we can come back to you on that in a memo.
So
Sorry for holding question time. Thank you very much. I'm very
just very
engaged.
quick, if we could, Tim.
One question.
You got me, eh?
With regards to the surfaces you talked about with extra grip, is that coming back to the community boards? Because the corner of Cashmere Road between Barrington Roundabout and Cashmere Roundabout, we put signage, etc., but there are still people, and it's driver behaviour, let's be honest. So could we look at that corner and that?
Okay, so you're raising a local issue, that's fine. Silly, yep, silly.
I only did one question.
No, thanks, sorry, Tim, but that's good.
It's just pick up.
Hang on a minute, Celeste, I just want to explain to Tim, I wasn't cutting you off, but staff have heard what you've, I'm just trying to move it.
I'll just run it through them. First one was around lighting gaps in the network. It's a similar question, but my understanding is the capital budget for replacing and putting in lights where there is none. And we know some streets, especially older subdivisions, don't have lighting in some areas. There doesn't seem to be a really clear process apart from advocating to the long-term plan to put lighting in those places. Can we just get some, maybe memo come back around some of that stuff to answer both my questions? But not for now, maybe.
So maybe it's good if you could send through perhaps, and Victoria,
Yes, we can.
the specific sites where you want staff to look at what the
I'm
projection is.
Useful, yeah. Because there is a budget for lighting in the
There's not that I got it. The reason I'm asking is because the response I got in response to the question was that there isn't a capital budget. It used to be 300,000. It's been removed. So currently there is no budget for that specific request. The second one is around the number 5 bus uplift. Will, as part of that business case, we'll be looking at questions, because areas like recommend other areas, other areas that might benefit from those. Can we look at that as part of that business case?
Will be, they're unlikely to meet the threshold for passengers. There's
Sure.
quite a high threshold for
So specifically
terminals.
referring to the fact that as part of master plan in Brighton, and we're looking at the number 5.
Some of these things like new ideas and new initiatives are probably into the annual plan process rather than just seeing if they can be absorbed in the existing.
Because this is
program.
actually a report on the status of our
This is the
transport
last
system
3
at the moment.
months.
Sure. Yeah.
Now,
Two quickies. One is, are all our lights now LED? Because I had a response back from council call centre that they think so, but I think they've all been changed, but do you know if they've all been updated?
Through the chair, the vast majority have. I can't confirm whether everyone has been, but I assume it's probably 95 to 100% done. We can confirm that really easily. So we can.
A second, that's cool. The second one was about the trees and streets, but Lynette promised that this report, she would report back about where those can go, because I asked for that in the last annual plan over a year ago. Because our board wants to put more trees in the streets and we can absorb the ones that you guys are talking about. So when is that for a citywide plan? I'm only talking about it, but
Through the chair, I can't put a date on it. All I know is the team are working quite hard on that at the moment, because it is citywide and it involves quite a lot of work trying to find suitable locations.
Yeah.
And if people have locations where they think are appropriate, by all means send them in, because that'll make our job easier.
but we don't know, it's about the services under the roof.
All about the
Because
services.
we want to know, not just, where the berms are that you can or can't put them, but also like on the street, where are streets that we could actually develop if we do a street renewal and get rid of the deep ditch gutters, we can happen. So I just really want
if
to
we have-
reiterate. I want
if
to
you know a site, just throw it at the staff and then they'll figure out if the infrastructure's there or not and they can or can't do it. That's fair enough.
I think that's a fair approach, and we will report back on that overall plan. Those directions.
So Tyler,
2 quick ones. Hey guys, I'm just jumping on the back of Victoria's questions and just diving in a little bit more. So in terms of the community outreach that the units do, for example, if there's a big issue with works that it's not from scratch, then a traffic engineer goes out, is that correct?
Through the chair, it'd be one of our asset protection team. If works have been undertaken and they've not been done to the right standard, we would have it'd be one of the asset protection officers would go out and have a look.
Okay, so I wanted to just divert, and you can write this down, around Cheyenne Street and Stockburn. Stephen's been doing a really good job prior to him taking off.
Yeah.
But there's been significant issues. 3 times they've had to sweep it, just letting you know. And I'm wondering about the quality of the works by the contractor. I'm not going to say that. The second one is the same one as you. Vibrations. I'm getting quite a lot of community kickback in regards to vibrations, particularly with EV buses. Do you think there might be a potential for a memo to go out, for us to go out to the community around the effects of EV buses and vibrations? Because that is a significant thing, particularly in the Fendleton ward, where there's a and there's actually underground water, streams, etc. That'd be great if you can. Or good if not.
just compose something that can go out through the community boards. And I think also a memo to Environment Canterbury asking them to remind their drivers to please slow down on certain streets, that we could give them the streets.
Because we can't keep resurfacing every single road that has vibrations, right?
Whereas some people do think the buses go too fast. So now we've got Andre, Sarah, Jake, Aaron and Yanni, so we may not get through everyone. Go Andre.
Thank you. 21.5 kilometres of footpath resurfacing. Are we able to get the numbers for the previous years? Because I understand it's a big jump, which is awesome. Thank you.
Brilliant. Sarah?
That's
Good, thanks for that. Just after the numbers on renewals rather than just resurfacing, I know in the last report, the one before that, that our renewals program, we weren't doing enough to keep up with the overall quality of the roads.
Data on renewals.
I think through the chair, I think that's probably a fair statement. I think if again the more funding we have in the maintenance and renewal space, the more we can do. It's as simple as that.
I think from a rehab's point of view, we do about just under 1% of the network each year from a rehabilitation.
Yeah, yeah, but we're supposed to be doing 5 to 6%.
I don't.
Yeah. I think the last report that we had showed that we were behind by about 83 years on our renewals. I think the key thing, while yes, more money would mean we could do more, we need to be reporting on our renewals and the road condition in every report. It's like our water, we're not reporting on the renewals currently.
Exactly.
So that's the first question. Second one, how are we going with the work with the hospital over getting a SIPTED scope and report done for that hospital precinct?
Through the chair, that work is ongoing. The people are
Right.
working on that, and we can come back to you, councillor, with a timeline.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Thank you. And the other one is last one, the Te Aratai connection cycleway. Now that that budget's approved and the design's approved, and there's a few more conversations, but when are we signing a contract?
So the design needs to be checked against the new developments that have happened along St Albans, and then we will look to go out to the market. So I would imagine later on this year, all being well, unless we have any issues with the design.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Jake?
Oh, thank you. I'm not sure how your priority queuing system work. I think I put my hand in 2 minutes into the thing. Anyway, parking tickets. I had an email from a constituent who had been hit with a $750 fine, and you know that's government set by government. That's what it is. You know, you shouldn't be parking in park. We don't have it listed on the website though.
Should have been $2,000.
Yeah, I mean, I limited sympathies, but could we get that up on the website just so that it's not such a shock? Or that there's an inherent fairness if it's listed.
Through the chair, if you could advise us on which parking bay it was, we'll make sure that's on the website. Yeah, the disabled parking bay.
It's anytime you park in a disabled park, that is the fine.
He's talking about the fine amount, not.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought you mentioned the parking bay wasn't on the website.
No.
It lists them all.
It's just it's omitted from the website. All other fines.
That'll be simple. Yeah.
Thanks, Jake. Apologies for that. Aaron, really quickly.
Oh, yes, so just on the antisocial behaviour one, how many high def cameras do we have? We used to have a network of around 20, but that's gone up over the years, hasn't it?
Yeah, through the chair, most of our signalised intersections have relatively high definition cameras on them.
So then with the antisocial behaviour, have we considered like employing a staff member to go through the things and log them, because we have one community group that's allowed to do it and give the information to police that can lead to prosecutions. So then have we considered that?
That would be a chief executive comment there. Do you want an extra staff member? Go through the topic?
If they're a good staff member, it'd be self-funding.
Yeah, OCU team get a huge amount of requests from different people for their footage. So we might not need to actually develop and log it, because actually the relevant people are already asking for it and getting it.
Police have access to those cameras.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean actively looking through.
And if you want more resource, Aaron, it's annual plan, so it's a good idea. Yanni? Super quick.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, super quick. Is it possible to get some information back on how we do a post-construction audit of the traffic effects and safety effects of the speed humps? I know in the consultations recently, there's been a number of concerns raised by the community over the increased congestion that's occurring because of the speed platforms in Linwood.
So Yanni, that's already been raised. There's a memo coming back. Thank you. Awesome.
Cool. And just the other thing is the street condition assessment that's going to be finalised in September. Are we going to have any input into that? Because I know that it's changed and I'm not quite sure why. But like, for example, Ferry Road was one of the ones that was the worst, and now we're told it's not as bad.
I'm not sure what he's referring to.
This is for the road renewals, the new technology that's doing the roading assessment, roading condition assessment to set the priorities.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, that was an excellent report. We probably need a little bit more time. This is actually one of our priority programs, and so I'm sorry that we've had to kind of rush through it a wee bit with the time. But you've got some.
Sorry that you've gone away with a long list of memos to write.
Just use bullet points.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
is it such a frontline topic? Probably in the future, because we've kind of designed to finish earlier today rather than at 5 o'clock. Maybe it's time to get a
Why are we
report.
always shortening everything?
We could longer,
Yeah,
yeah,
just another
because there's
15
so many
minutes.
questions and there's so much detail we
What I
need,
just suggested, yeah.
and it's a front line, so.